let's go ahead and talk about some lawmakers that are facing heat for racist tweets. Now, one lawmaker in Minnesota recently tweeted that the NBA is full of criminals. In fact, this is State Representative Pat Garofalo, and the tweet said the following. Let's take a quick look at it. Let's be honest, 70% of teams in NBA could fold tomorrow. Nobody would notice a difference with possible exception of increase in street crime. So he tweeted that. I don't know what led him to tweet it, but he immediately got a bunch of criticism because, of course, when you really look at the NBA, 76% of the athletes there are black. So they felt that he was making a reference to race there. And I want to open it up to you guys because there have been some people who have defended him. Thaddeus, what do you think? Is there any legitimacy in what he tweeted there?
So technically, sure. I mean, what he's saying is what black leaders have said for a long time, including civil rights leaders, which is that black people, yes, especially men in this country, are disproportionately likely to commit crimes. Now, that is the beginning of the discussion to have, though, right? Like, so why is that? What causes crime? Why is it disproportionately African-American men doing that? Does it have anything to do with the drug war? What is this guy's position on the drug war? I would love to know that. How about mandatory minimum sentencing? What is his position on that, right? That's putting a lot of black men into prison for no good reason. I think a lot of us agree. I do give him credit for being a renegade against sort of political correctness. I mean, so beginning the discussion, and I think that, you know, denouncing him morally for stating a claim that's just political, I think is almost worse than what he said. Let's have this discussion, everyone. GOP, let's talk. What is your position on the drug war?
He didn't make this comment, though, because he was thinking of all these deeper political questions. He made this comment because he's a disgusting racist, and people supported him who are disgusting racists, and that was really it. He realized afterwards that, oh, wait, my huge base of disgusting racists, people are going to see it outside of that base, and so now I have to reel it back in really quickly. That shuts down the discussion, right? And that may be true. I have no idea what this guy thinks, but you just shut down the discussion by doing that. That's what happened to him. And what he did was, which is what always happens, is he then comes out with an apology for having an idea that was publicly stated. I'd rather, instead of shutting him down, start talking to him and talking to him about these things, right? The prison industrial complex. Should these things be illegal? Why are all these black men in prison? What does poverty have to do with that? How do we fix poverty, right?
I see this very differently than both of you. Honestly, I think that this is yet another example of veiled racism. I actually would not go as far as saying that Pat Garofalo is racist. I do not know him. But this is kind of symptomatic of the way that we converse about things in our society. So that was very clearly veiled racism. It reminds me of what we saw with Richard Sherman. Everyone started calling him a thug, as though thug didn't have like a connotation, like if it had been a white person who had done exactly what Richard Sherman was the one that freaked out in the Seattle game at the end. For those who don't know. But if a white person had done what he had done, people wouldn't have called him a thug. You know, it's an interesting thing about the way that we speak about things, and everyone wants to believe that we're so far above racism, we've come so far, we've moved, but there are still these ideas, and I think Twitter actually does a really good job of kind of, people say things that they may say in their family room or to their best friend on Twitter that they normally wouldn't say in public, and then they realize, and this is why he apologized, then they realize and go, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that in public. But I think it does, to your point, raise a discussion that is an important discussion to be had, but then, to your point, also has elements of racism.
Yeah, so I actually think you guys are all making really good points, to be honest with you, because I think the conversation of racism is an important one to have. So there is this weird misconception in the country that since we elected a biracial man as president, hey, you know what, we've already dealt with all of our race issues and we should just move on. Anyone who cries racism is just full of it. They're race baiting. We get that a lot on the show when there are clear cases of racism that we report on. But no, look, social media is proving that there are people out there that are racist. Like, it's something that we have to discuss. Why do people still push these stereotypes?
See, I think that calling him racist actually serves conservative ends, which is that it stops us from having the discussions about what causes this thing to happen, which is true. Black men do disproportionately commit crimes. This is true. You cannot deny this. Now, Why the, wait, hold on, why the racist argument would be because they're black, because they're biologically predisposed to crime, right? I don't share that argument, but it begins an argument, it begins a discussion that's very important about why that happens. Stating the fact itself is not in itself racist and must be stated. In fact, if you are opposed to the incarceration of black men, you must start there. You must say, yes, they do disproportionately commit crime. Now, we can either make those things no longer criminal, as in the case of drugs, or we can talk about why poverty is in the black community and causes people to commit crimes like that. But you just, to dismiss it as racism stops the discussion.
Racism, it absolutely,
I think we have to be really careful here too, because I'm not personally completely convinced that there's a large difference in the amount of white people and black people who commit crimes. Right. Do black people get disproportionately arrested? Yes. Absolutely.
For sure.
But how much of that has to do with profiling
then you're suggesting that poverty has no correlation, is not a cause of crime, which of course it is.
Socioeconomic status is the #1 indicator
and African Americans are disproportionately poor. So,
yes,
right.
okay.
So
but Jenny also makes a very good point about how African Americans and minorities in general are usually targeted when it comes to these crimes. So if you look at the use of marijuana, for instance, right? African Americans do not use marijuana more than white people do, but there are more African Americans incarcerated for marijuana-related crimes than white people. Absolutely. So that's just one example of that. So it is important to put that out there. But look, here's the thing. He's talking specifically about wealthy NBA athletes. And he's saying, hey, you know what? If their teams fold, there's going to be an increase in street crime. That is offensive to say the least. I mean, if you don't refer to him as racist, or if you don't refer to that tweet as racist, what do you say? You just say, oh, well, I didn't like that tweet. Let's now discuss, you know, the societal issues that lead to an increase in black people getting incarcerated.
Right, there's no ambiguity about it. It was a blatant racist statement by a racist who wanted to say nothing except, you know, black people commit a lot of crimes. And that was all he was saying. There was nothing else behind it. I don't want to shut down discussion about race. Of course, it's a discussion we need to have, but I want to shut down racists. I mean, I don't want to have a discussion with this guy to try to win him over and tell him about the drug war and convince him that he should be against the oppression of African Americans in the United States. I think that guy should be shut down. That guy should be out of office. But we have a government that is filled to the brim with this white supremacist mentality, and we have the institutions to back them up.
So racism in this country was largely eradicated. I mean, the belief in scientific racism was largely eradicated not by shaming racists, but by people struggling in the streets, right?
Well, right,
through all sorts of
racists and
all sorts
shutting
of
them down.
Hold on, all sorts of means of resistance, from violent resistance, which I actually favor, which happened in the South, and nonviolent means too. It was actually stealing their power, taking their power from them through direct action, not by telling them, Ku Klux Klan, you're a bad guy for being racist. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael, all those people understood that that was a waste of time, and worse, it also actually tends to just create worse racism. If you just shut someone down and say, you're a bad boy for being racist, they go in their corner, and next thing you know, they have a Stormfront website, right? I mean, it doesn't work. It is struggle in the streets, it's political action, it's social movements that do this, that get rid of this stuff.
I agree
it's telling them that the price is too high to pay.
Right, no, I agree that the social action is the answer, but the civil rights movement didn't sit down with the leaders of the KKK and the racist white politicians in Washington and say, let's have a talk about race. They fought them and they shut them down. They stopped buses. I mean, they shut down school. That wasn't engagement. That wasn't discussion. That was saying that if you make a racist comment or if you out yourself as someone who is not for the rights of oppressed people in this country, then you are stigmatized. You are shut down whenever you try to open your mouth, and then people will mobilize against you. That's what should happen with this guy, but instead we have a system where he's being defended all over the place for making really disgusting comments.